Hello, Heero here, and today we're gonna look at Lighter, a stunner with a unique ability to buff both fire and ice elements, allowing allies to deal big BP damage. I'll be discussing his kit, builds, engines, and possible teams. Just as a quick disclaimer though, the footage and information shown is from the Creator Experience server, so things could still change when his banner drops. Let's start with Lighter's kit, starting with his basic attacks, L-Form Thundering Fist. Now for the most part, this may seem like a fairly standard basic stunner attack combo that results in high days buildup. However, there are some cool things you could do with this basic attack. First, there are two infinite combos you can pull off by holding W or up on the joystick while also spamming or holding the basic attack button. You can perform his first infinite combo after BA3, and it consists of an infinite loop of melee follow-ups. And releasing W during this combo lets him continue into his basic attack 4. While his second one can be performed at the start of BA5, and it consists of an infinite loop of light punches and BA4 attacks. Releasing W anytime during this combo lets him do a JoJo-esque jab combo ending with a powerful finisher. This is very important for building energy if you're having trouble getting his skill, with the second combo even building elation stacks. The thing to notice, a lot of his abilities like his EX Special, Assist, and Dodge follow up directly into either BA4 or BA5. This allows him to chain together his abilities for different combos that results in him stunning the enemy super fast, allowing him to pair really well with units that want a lot of field time. But speaking of his EX Special, V-Rise Sunrise Uppercut, it has two versions depending on when you use it. The first version of his EX Special has two parts, an uppercut, and if you spend more energy, a downward attack. This then follows up into his BA4, allowing you to combo into a BA5 infinite combo or finisher. While the second version can be executed by pressing the skill button right after a sidestep dodge, kinda like a dodge counter. Now you typically want to use this over his normal dodge counter since it does have a way higher days multiplier. And you can either follow this up with his BA5 finisher or the other version of his EX Special if you have enough energy, resulting in a 3 EX Special combo. A very good Lighter rotation or combo is to start with his Dodge EX Special, followed by another 2 EX Specials, into his BA4, then BA5 combo, and finally into his BA5 finisher. I found this not to be only very effective for fast stuns, but it also builds elation stacks fairly quickly for his teammates. While an alternate combo, if he has full morale, starts with a quick assist, essentially moving the BA5 finisher to the beginning, resulting in quicker stuns and elation buildup. But these are only suggestions, so I suggest testing out combos that work the best for you. But moving on to his ult, W Crowned Inferno. Just like most stunners, this just deals good damage and massive days buildup. Nothing too special there. And finally, his core skill, starting with his core passive's Morale Meter. This meter automatically builds up at a fixed rate and gains bonus points for each energy spent by the team for a max of 100 morale. And when he reaches a minimum of 80, he can enter the Morale Burst state by using his BA5. This state strengthens and enhances these three parts of Lighter's basic attacks, while also providing damage reduction and interrupt resist for BA5s. And whenever one of his abilities hits an enemy, it consumes morale, with every 10 morale consumed increasing his impact by 2% with a cap of 20. But the good thing is, if you don't hit enemies, it won't consume any morale. And it's pretty funny because Lighter will continue to punch the air for about 2.5 seconds unless he hits an enemy. Wait, is that a JoJo reference? And of course, he exits the state when the bar is depleted, but you can always extend it by using an EX Special in the middle of a combo. But what makes this insane is his finishers now inflict collapse, which increase stun duration by 3 seconds, while also reducing fire and ice rest by 15% for 30 seconds for every enemy hit by his jabs or light punches, which pairs really well with his additional ability. Speaking of which, his additional ability needs either an attack unit or a unit from the same faction to activate. This provides a stack of the elation buff every time a BA5 hits an enemy during his morale state, with each stack providing 1.25% bonus fire and ice damage per stack, capping at 25% with 20 stacks, lasting for 30 seconds. There are two ways to build elation stacks. First is his jab combo and finisher. This is the main way you want to build elation stacks, seeing how it's the quickest, allowing other units to take more advantage of this 30-second buff. Another way is his BA5 infinite combo. Now this isn't nearly as fast as the first way, but it's pretty efficient since it not only builds elation, but also gives Lighter lots of energy and provides more hits for days buildup against harder to stun enemies like bosses. And for every 10 impact that Lighter has above 170, elation's base multiplier per stack increases by 0.25, upping its cap from 25% to 75%. However, to get this full buff, you need a whopping 270 impact, which is insane at first glance. But I'll tell you how you can go about reaching this during the stats section of this video. But now for his skill priority, level up his core skill first, then his basic attacks, then his skill assist, then ult, and finally dodge. But with his kit out of the way, let's talk about his Mindscapes. His M1 increases collapse duration by an extra 5 seconds and further reduces enemies' ice and fire rest by an additional 10%. Enemies now stay stunned for an extra 8 seconds instead of 3 under the collapse debuff, while also having their fire and ice rest reduced by a total of 25% instead of 15%. Increasing overall damage output. His M2 on the other hand increases stun damage multiplier by 25% for enemies inflicted with collapse, and increases his fire and damage buff multipliers by 120% of the original amount. This Mindscape essentially gives Lighter a mini version of Lycon and Chingy's abilities, alongside his elation buffs now having a higher cap resulting in higher damage. While his M4 increases an on-field character's energy regen by 10% while he's off-field, and provides 4 energy to off-field characters when he enters his morale burst state. This gives any on-field character a mini version of the Swing Jazz set, allowing units to get their skills faster, which in turn helps Lighter build his morale bar faster, overall increasing Lighter's own utility. And finally his M6, which increases his morale recovery rate by 200%, and gives him access to Blazing Impact, a big burst of damage triggered by any of his abilities once every 8 seconds, with its multiplier increasing with every point of impact above 170. This Mindscape is mainly for those who want to play Lighter as a main DPS. Not really surprising, with each Blazing Impact proc hitting like a damn truck when combined with his own supportive capabilities. But with his Mindscapes out of the way, let's talk about possible Wenjin options. Lighter's signature Wenjin, the Blazing Laurel, gives all of the benefits shown in screen that I couldn't read without stuttering. However, this engine does help him reach the 270 impact stat goal, and I'll go over how with a stat breakdown later for all of his possible Wenjins. But aside from this, it also adds even more to his supportive capabilities for fire and ice teams, with a crit damage buff allowing for big damage. A good alternative would be Hellfire Gears, seeing how he can easily get his full 20% impact bonus because of his EX specials. This Wenjin gives a total of 38% impact, while also providing him with some energy regen, allowing him to use his skill more often to help build his morale meter. Another great alternative would be Chingy's Ice Jade Teapot with how fast Lighter actually basic attacks. This Wenjin gives a total of 39% impact at full stacks, while also providing a nice damage buff improving its supportive capabilities. Just note, you might have to spend a bit more field time basic attacking with Lighter to get its full stacks. But from my experience, this didn't really become a problem because of Lighter's fast attacks. As for the Restraint, it's really good for improving daze buildup and damage of his basic attacks. However, it gives the lowest impact out of all the 5-star Wenjins, only giving 18%. But it's still a good option if you don't have Hellfire Gears or an R5 Steam Oven. Speaking of which, a great free-to-play 4-star option would be Steam Oven. Its energy main stat allows Lighter to get his skill more often, which results in faster morale buildup. And if you get its full stacks, it can give up to 25.6% impact, which is higher than any of the other 4-star Wenjins in the game. And it really isn't too difficult to get full stacks if you use Lighter's 3EX special combo. As for the other 4-star Wenjins, they can all still be useful since they all give 15% impact, with 6 Shooter being the best for daze buildup. But I would still recommend Steam Oven over any of them if you can get it to R5. But with his possible Wenjins out of the way, let's talk about drive discs. For the 4-piece set, his best option is Shockstar Disco. Not really shocking since he's a stunner and it's the only one you should really be considering. It gives him some much needed impact while also improving his daze buildup significantly. As for the 2-piece set, I really recommend Swing Jazz. It helps him get his skill faster, resulting in faster morale buildup, therefore faster stuns. But if you don't really want to run Swing Jazz, any of these sets can work for the 2-piece set to boost his damage output. But with his possible drive discs out of the way, let's talk about stats. For main stats, you want to follow the standard stunner template of crit stats for slot 4, Fire Penner Attack for slot 5, and finally Impact for slot 6. For the slot 5 main stat, just pick whichever has the best substats. For substats priority, focus on crit stats first, then attack percent, and finally flat Penner Attack. These are really the only subs he can use since there's no impact substats. But as I mentioned earlier, he needs 270 impact to get his full fire and ice damage buff. So how would you go about reaching this? Well, his kit and drive discs alone give him a total of 203 impact. So you really have to rely on Wengeance to meet the 270 stat goal. With that being said, here's a chart showing how much total impact he can get with the full passive stacks of his Wengeance options. All of these stat snapshots were taken in the in-game training mode with max stats of his core passive and Wengeance, the same drive discs, and with Ellen as the only teammate. So most of the 5-star Wengeance, aside from the Unchained, can help Light to reach the 270 stat goal. While the best 4-star Wengeance for impact and skill frequency would be the Steam Oven if you can get its full stacks. So just use whichever you have, with his signature of course being the best. But with his stat breakdown out of the way, let's talk about possible teammates. Ami Soldier 11 is one of the two very notable teammates for him right now. She synergizes really well with her boy Lighter, with her benefiting greatly from his Fire Rush Red and Fire Damage bonus. Lighter's ability to stun enemies very quickly and extend stun duration also gives Soldier 11 more field time and opportunities to take advantage of her bonus damage to stunned enemies. In my opinion, S11 is the unit that probably benefits from Lighter the most due to the current lack of dedicated fire supports, with his supportive capabilities being able to bring out a lot of Soldier 11's damage potential. As for his other very notable teammate, it's none other than the EP Shard Ellen. Lighter works as a great replacement to Lycon in Ellen comps, with her benefiting from his Ice Rush Red and damage buff. And seeing how Ellen is also a unit that appreciates lots of field time, Lighter's fast stunning ability also greatly benefits her. Now unlike Soldier 11, Ellen didn't really lack any dedicated ice supports since Sokaku and Lycon exists. But Lighter is a very good upgrade to Lycon. With that being said though, Bernice also benefits a lot from Lighter's Fire Rush Red and damage buff, improving her burn and off-field attack damage. Plus, they can activate each other's additional ability. As for supports, Caesar is a good universal support you can pair with him in any team, with her providing lots of benefits like damage buffs and shields. And just like Bernice, they can activate each other's additional ability. Lucy is another good universal support, with her attack buff being a good bonus that Lighter and whichever DPS you're running him with can appreciate. And again, they can activate each other's additional ability. While Sokaku would be the best ice support to run with him in ice comps, with her and Lighter's supportive capabilities being able to elevate the performance of Ellen and hopefully any future ice DPS. Lycon, weirdly enough, also kinda synergizes with Lighter, cause his own Ice Rush Red does stack with Lighter's, and Lycon's bonus stun damage multiplier does synergize well with Lighter's extended stun durations. Miyabi might also be a very good teammate for him, seeing how she is an ice unit, so she can potentially benefit from Lighter's Ice Rush Red and damage buff. But I'll refrain from talking too much about her, since by the time this video goes up, no official kit details have been released yet. And for those wondering if you can work with non-ice or fire units, the answer is yes, because he can act as a substitute if you only need a stunner. But the only benefits he brings to non-ice or fire units is his fast stunning ability, so he is an option if you have no one else. But I wouldn't go out of my way to get him for these units. But with his synergies out of the way, let's talk about possible teams. Before we cook up some teams, just note you need at least one of the characters shown in screen to activate Lighter's additional ability. And as usual, just pick a Bang Boo that would suit the party. But with that being said, one of Lighter's best teams right now would be an ice team consisting of Ellen and Sokaku. This team deals massive ice damage and is able to clear non-ice resistant shield defense stages with ease, with Ellen really benefiting from the high field time that Lighter gives her to squeeze out quite a bit more damage. I found Lighter to be the better stunner in this team than Lycon, with Lighter's supportive capabilities allowing for faster and smoother runs of shield defense. And I say that with my skill issue ridden gameplay in the background. Damn it, I'm terrible at this game. But there are some alternatives, mainly if for some reason you don't want to run Sokaku. You can replace her with Lycon, with her boy playing a more supportive role instead of acting as a stunner. But if you don't have Lycon, either Lucy or Caesar are pretty good as well. Now you can get Ellen's 30% ice damage buff from her additional ability in this comp, but Lighter's own Rush Red and damage buff combined with Lucy or Caesar's supportive capability capabilities should be more than enough to make up for it. Plus, Caesar's shield brings a lot of comfort to the team. His other best team would be a fire comp with Soldier 11 and either Bernice or a support. Just like the Ellen comp, this team has no trouble clearing any non-fire resistance shield defense stage. And like I said earlier, Lighter does bring out a lot of S11's potential with his supportive capabilities, allowing for very fast and smooth shield defense runs. Running Bernice in this comp allows for Soldier 11 to take more advantage of the Inferno metal set due to her higher burn up time, while squeezing in a bit more damage with her off-field attacks. While running Caesar or Lucy turns the comp into a more traditional hyper carry comp, with her supportive capabilities combined with Lighters, allowing S11 to deal more damage. Plus, Caesar with her shields provides a lot of comfort to this comp. Now, if you don't have these characters, you can technically run Ben as well, since he does provide crit rate and a shield for comfort. However, he's not as effective as the other options. An thematic meme comp you can run is a Sons of Caledon team, with Lighter or Bernice as the main DPS, supported by either Caesar or Lucy. Now, this doesn't really compare to his other team comps, but it's a fun meme comp to try if you're a big fan of the Sons of Caledon or just want to run Bernice or Lighter as a main DPS. But that's about it, because I'm beginning to lose my voice. But there's just one last question. Is he a must-pull? Whether or not he's a must-pull ultimately depends on your account. If you don't have Ellen or Soldier 11, it's not really worth it to roll for him even if you need a stunner. The only benefits he gives non-fire and ice units is just his fast stunning speed, which is not too noteworthy to warrant spending up to 28k polychromes to get him. You're much better off waiting for Qingyi's rerun or using someone like Anbi or Coletta. Speaking of which, if you already have multiple stunners like Qingyi, Lycon, heck even Coletta, and are satisfied with your fire or ice team's performance with them, he's not really a must-pull in this case either. However, he is a must-pull if you do have Soldier 11 or Ellen and are looking for a unit to elevate an ice or fire team's performance. He would not only allow these comps to deal massive damage through his insane utility, providing huge benefits like more field time, rush res, and damage buffs to fire and ice units. He's definitely a unit that will get more use once more fire and ice units come out, increasing his potential future value, which may influence your pulling decisions. And as for those who plan to roll for him to support Miyabi, I advise at least waiting until the 1.4 stream so we can get more official details about her kit. Like I said earlier, Miyabi being an ice unit can benefit from Lighter's ice buffs. But without really knowing her official kit, especially her additional abilities conditions, we can't really be 100% certain if they'd work well together. There's really no harm in waiting for official information, especially with the 1.4 stream only being a week away from his release. But at the end of the day though, if you like Lighter, pull for him. Personally, despite the spicy art of him, I'll probably have to skip cause Yanagi made me broke. Well, that and I want to roll for Miyabi. But feel free to tell me what you think about him in the comments below, and don't forget to hit me with a like and a sub.